Well, yes, hello, what's going on, friends? Welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. As always, I do hope you are doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Interestingly, on The Telegraph, Matt Law, who obviously has some good information, or certainly good sources inside The Telegraph, has elaborated over this situation with Enzo Maresca. Now, look, cards on the table, I'm hoping this is put to bed now. But I am interested to hear a little bit more detail on why he feels like he's not being supported. Because it could be, an issue. Do you know what I mean? This could cause, I don't know, if Maresca leaves Chelsea, I think that would be a bad thing. Insiders or the ownership and the sporting directors probably think, yeah, he's good, but he's a part of a collective here, and we are the majority of the collective, and we'll survive without him. I'm very interested to learn what's going on through Matt Law's article on The Telegraph, which I will mosey on down through with you guys today. Yes, disclaimer, I am still poorly. I've got like some sort of stomach viral thing. Not asking for sympathy, but I'm doing these more sort of talking style, less edited videos for the meantime until I'm bright as a button again so I can do more edits. So yeah, man, so welcome back to Football Therapy. We're going to get into this. Thank you as always for your continued support for my content. Genuinely super stoked to have you here with me. And you can support me by liking and subscribing on YouTube. Hitting that bell notifications icon should you choose to subscribe. And of course, available now on all podcast platforms for a six-month trial, I think we're calling it, to see if it's, if people are into it, if it sort of helps that amount of people. Do go, follow on your podcast apps, give me your 5 stars, and that, my friends, is how you support your boy. Other than that, let's get into it. In just a moment, we're going to speak about this article with what's going on with Maresca, but I just wanted to open proceedings a little bit with Kobbie Mainoo. Of course, many of you would have seen an absolute ding-dong of a football match at Old Trafford last night. Manchester United 4, Bournemouth 4. It was very entertaining, very frustrating towards the end, whereas, Lamens in goal made a couple of excellent saves. It would have been funny had Bournemouth could have won it. But still, I will take an 8-goal thriller as a Monday night treat when I'm feeling a bit, sick and down. So that's good. But of course, many of you saw Kobbie Mainoo's brother had like free Kobbie Mainoo on his t-shirt, and he was like, making sure all the cameras could take pictures of him. And apparently Man United are going to speak to him about it, or his brother saying, don't do that, you're lowering his value. I'd argue they're lowering his value by not letting him play football. But it's been circulating across social media, and it's been reiterated that out of there's currently 12 clubs that are trying to sign Kobbie Mainoo, and apparently Chelsea lead the race. This was aggregated on X by Transfer News Live, but the source is caught offside. So it's not for Chaz, it's not Indy Kyler, none of these man who just make stuff up. And to be honest, we know we are interested in Kobbie Mainoo because of the sort of headline reputable journalists in previous windows have been like, yeah, Chelsea are sniffing around Mainoo. At the same time, if not, maybe before Garnacho as well, it was like, oh, Chelsea are looking at the situation over at Manchester United and they want to sign Alejandro Garnacho and Kobbie Mainoo. Actually, at the time, many Chelsea fans were more pro Mainoo than they were Garnacho. Of course, Mainoo is an exciting, sort of attacking yet quite functional midfield player. He started a final for England not very long ago. People are forgetting that. This is why he wants to get the heck out of Manchester United, because he's not being used. It's a World Cup year. He wants to join his boys in America in the summer, and he needs to get out. He needs to get out in January. Apparently he likes the idea of going to Napoli. I'm not surprised. His homeboy Scott McTominay's gone over there. And boy, what a Hollywood story that lad's having. I tell you what, I'm not Scottish or a Man United fan, but I am delighted for Scott McTominay. He's gone over there, he's high up in the Ballon d'Or rankings, he won MVP, he won the Scudetto. In Naples, the most sold shirt was McTominay. Excuse me. So it's a really nice story. He probably sees that, and of course, he's probably friendly with him, thinking, yeah, I could go and have a bit of that. But also we know him and Cole Palmer are like really good friends, really tight. You know, Palmer himself has been doing, free my boy, replies on his posts previously. Personally, I'll, reiterate what I've said before, guys. We don't need Kobbie Mainoo. I think I understood why we signed Garnacho and Gittins, because we needed like two left-sided options. I'm not looking at our midfield at the moment and thinking Kobbie Mainoo. Of course, there's there's nothing young good, but Walsh, Reggie Walsh, and Raksaki, and all these players that from the academy that are highly thought of, highly rated. We got to see these kids come through. Look, Kobbie's a really good footballer, and again, it's just funny. It's funny taking Man United's talent. It'll be really interesting to see how the Man United fans react, because of course it was with great vitriol and bitterness towards Alejandro Garnacho, who doesn't really help himself in terms of, the recent press conference when he said, nope, and laughed about leaving United. He could have been like, look, Man United are a big club, and I'm so grateful for da-da-da-da, but it's just a new chapter in my career. He could have said something really political like that. But he was just sort of laughed. He was like, nope, see you later. Which is quite funny. Endeared himself to the Chelsea fans, but of course Man United fans dislike Alejandro Garnacho. But I think they would not feel that way to Kobbie. I think they would feel like it's all down to them. Because Garnacho was sort of given chances. He was ostracised by Amorim though, Garnacho, towards the end. So maybe, I don't know. I think Man United fans, I don't want to speak for them, I am not one, but I think they are disappointed with Ruben Amorim and how he's handled Kobbie Mainoo. I don't think we should sign him, but the story won't go away because he is a hashtag market opportunity, and therefore he will continue to be linked to Chelsea. Now then, I am really hot because I'm not well, so I'm going to pause this recording and take off my hoodie. Hold tight. Alright, we're back, and I'm not as sweaty. Yeah, so look, this came out yesterday afternoon at time of recording. It's the 16th of December. This came out on the 15th at 4 p.m, pretty late in the day, so it's quite updated information for me to react to. Like I said, Matt Law does know his onions when it comes to a lot of Chelsea stuff. I don't think necessarily everyone loves Matt Law, but he 100% has information, reputable information from inside the club. I know he's a Jesus Yannick, I can't speak English. A recurring contributor to my friend's podcast, The Londoners Blue. He speaks to Nicola. I was interested to listen to him speak. So yeah, man, let's see what he's saying. Right, so Chelsea head coach Enzo Maresca has a habit of tossing the occasional grenade and running away, but this time it might actually blow up in his face. That's what I mean. It's potentially bad. Maresca put himself on a collision course with Chelsea's owners on Saturday when he answered a question about Gusto, of course, and claimed it was the worst 48 hours of his time at the club because of the lack of the support. Yes, of course, we remember that. It was funny because it was a non-provoked question. It was a premeditated statement from the Chelsea manager. With almost another 48 hours to dwell on those comments, Maresca on Monday refused to elaborate on his cryptic whinge. I mean, that sounds a little bit like, unfair, a little bit unfair from Matt Law, but it was, I suppose, a cryptic whinge. If we're going to be honest, maybe he felt like it was a necessary one, but it was a cryptic whinge. Tellingly, he did not try and explain it, retract it, or even disguise it. He just let it linger like a bad smell. Yeah, I did speak about this at length yesterday. The fact how he kind of doubled down, really. He wanted them to stop talking about it, but they wanted him to say, look, I was emotional. Let's move on. Let's look forward. I'm looking forward to the future. He didn't give them that. He let them repeat. He said, look, I speak Italian, Spanish, French, and English. I can say it, I'm paraphrasing here, because I can say in any language, sort of as a flexing on them as well, like, you simple people, I'm multilingual. I know what I mean. But yeah, he definitely doubled down. So those who had interpreted his complaint as being aimed at Chelsea's owners and sporting directors were given no indication they had got it wrong, or that they may have been a different target. Yeah, so he was asked about this. He did defend the Chelsea fans. He said it's definitely not the Chelsea fans. They deserve the best, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, I interpreted it was an internal thing myself. Of course, this continuation was on the Cardiff pre-match press conference. I will, provided I'm not feeling terrible, because I'm not well, I will react to that later tonight, if not tomorrow morning. And I've actually previewed that game as well in yesterday's content, so do check that out. I built a lineup which was very funny. And very scary, actually. Because, yeah, I know they're third division, but they're top of the pops, mate. And I built a back line that made me think, can this do anything? Anyway, go check it out. Sources believe, alright, so this is where the juice is coming in, guys. You ready for the juice? Sources believe Maresca has become fed up with having to explain himself internally at Chelsea, and that he doubts whether some of those in control really trust him. Isn't that just the life of the Chelsea manager? You know, pre and post Abramovich, you just need to always doubt whether that the powers that be really trust you. Or any top level manager. Like, Guardiola is one. He'll be trusted. I guess Arteta, even though he's not winning trophies, the owners surely are very happy with him because he's constantly getting that Champions League money. Unai Emery is probably one, but the club's in a financial, silliness, the way they spend all their money on wages, and they're getting big financial fair play troubles all the time. In fact, there's a graphic now on the screen. I'm sorry I haven't prepared to present it on YouTube, but it shows Maresca's Premier League record since the start of last season. So, since he's been in the Premier League, he's performed with the 5th highest points. Unsurprisingly, behind Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City, much more further developed projects than his young Chelsea, and only 2 points behind Aston Villa. I mean, Aston Villa have done very well, but Aston Villa, like I said, they've got, their wage bill is insane, and of course they had a lot of experienced players, Unai Emery, yada, yada, yada. And then there's Newcastle United with Eddie Howe, but that is like another 10-point drop off from Maresca, and they've got a much more solid senior team as well. So he will argue that he's got a bunch of kids, and he's Liverpool and Arsenal are both top, and he's 13 points behind them since the start of last season. This is a Liverpool that've got Salah, Alisson, Van Dijk in their prime last season. Arteta's Arsenal's been there forever. He's only 8 points off Pep Guardiola's, Man City that are, juiced up with all kinds of superb, talented senior players. So he will argue he's performing very well with what he's given, and of course he's tasked to, grow and cultivate this young team where these other managers and squads that he's mixing it with at the moment, the aforementioned, they've got senior, ready-made box players, good to go. Let's read on. Given the chance to do so, Maresca did not dispute the version of the perceived truth ahead of Tuesday night's Carabao Cup quarter-final, of course, tonight against Cardiff City, away. So here we go. This is what we've been hoping for to learn. Sources close to Chelsea believe Maresca's complaint was an emotional reaction to an emotional win. Oh, so that's them trying to pour cold water on it. But the fact how the 45-year-old gave no impression that he had momentarily reacted. So yeah, the initial word out of Chelsea was, oh, don't listen to that. It was an emotional win, he was being emotional. And of course he comes out again, he's like, I made my point. I'm not changing my mind. That's he's not being emotional because it's days later. So originally he says, look, we're in an era where everyone can say what they think. I respect people's opinion. I respect your opinion, but I don't have anything to add. He later added, I think when I want to say something, I'm quite clear. I've already spoken after the game. I don't need to say any more. Basically, like I said previously, he doubled down. Maresca has proved himself to be a skilled tactician at Chelsea and has achieved some notable success in his 18 months in charge, having won 2 trophies and seeing off the likes of PSG Luis Enrique's PSG and Barcelona's Hansi Flick, of course, managerial opponents. Yeah, very, very impressive. He was at pains to stress that victory over Cardiff would secure the third semi-final for Chelsea under him, which is impressive, I guess, but that's the kind of thing that, Arteta would flex at Arsenal, get into loads of semi-finals. But Maresca may have dug himself a hole too big to ultimately climb out of with his amateur mind games, writes Matt Law. Oh, he's really digging him out here. He's calling him whingy, amateur mind games. I think he's probably inferring that, compared to the likes of a Jose Mourinho, who's got the elite mind games. Look, the great Chelsea managers whinged. Mourinho, Conte, obviously Ancelotti didn't, because he's just a nice guy. He's more of a Galactico whisperer than other type. But yeah, amateur mind games, writes Law. Last season, Maresca confused supporters and some within Stamford Bridge by claiming he had not been the target had not been challenged qualifying for the Champions League, of course, before eventually changing course and admitting it was a major goal for the season. Yeah. Let's definitely remember the truth here. Maresca did. I keep saying it. He's very green. This is his first ever second season in a manager's job. Deep that. But yeah, he came out with some silly stuff. I mean, look, he was saying what we were all thinking about when not in the title race last season. I know you could say, that damaged the confidence and it ended up putting us in a Champions League race, but it was very hard to make the case for these kids to just, see it all the way through a season and be in a title race. Personally, I think that was, highly unlikely. He diverted off another potential collision course this season by giving up on his less than suitable suggestion that Chelsea should have reacted to losing Levi Colwill, of course, by signing a new central defender. I mean, that's fine. I had no issue with that because Colwill was so important. But fortunately, we've got the players that are playing well. And to his credit, he's obviously coaching the players in such a way where we're defending well. This was evidently not a battle worth fighting, even though some believe it remains a sticking point for Maresca, even now. Interesting. This time, it feels like he's put himself in danger of becoming the only victim of his own metaphorical grenade by promoting purposeful or otherwise the narrative that Chelsea's owners are too hands-on. Well, yeah, I mean, we've heard that they go in the friggin' dressing room after every game and be like, right, what's happening here? I mean, they're still new to it. It's been, what's it been, 2.5 years or something? Will they eventually just get bored? I mean, I don't think Todd is as hands-on as he used to be. Maybe that's due to the war of the owners, the civil war. But Badad Iqbali's always like him and the sporting directors, throwing their weight around, basically getting in the dressing room, seeing what's going on. Quote, if Maresca wants war, then there'll be only one winner. Maresca is under contract, of course, until 2029, and Chelsea have the option to extend that deal by a further year should they want to. The club always planned to review his performance at the end of this season, so the 2-season review. There was a 1-season review for Pochettino, but it was always going to be a 2-season review for Maresca, especially after giving him such a long deal. To review his performance at the end of the season and are unlikely to deviate from that as things stand. The target for Maresca at the start of the season was for Chelsea to qualify for the Champions League again through the Premier League and to perform well on the Cups. That's my target as well, because it's showing you can do it again, but you're not, off to Kazakhstan on Thursdays. You're playing in the Champions League and, deploying your top-level players midweek and on the weekends. So that would be, a young squad after playing the Club World Cup in the summer, which was going to fatigue the squad. That was, that's a big challenge in itself. So for me, that was the situation as well. The target for Maresca. Oh, I just said that. All of the goals remain well within reach, but what Maresca says and how he acts may just be as important as what he achieves between now and the end of the campaign. It is unclear what Maresca wants. Interesting. Despite him insisting he's committed to Chelsea. Yeah, of course, you got to say that now. As reported by the Telegraph Sport, he is now represented, of course, by George Mendes's Gestiefute agency, and there appears to have been an attempt to polish his image. Is that with the new clothes he's wearing? There is another article. Why Enzo Maresca has decided to join the super agents. There's another article there, but we won't look at that now. Rather than wearing the mint green club-issued tracksuit he's appeared more comfortable in, Maresca has started dressing in non-Chelsea branded clothes since the defeat at Leeds. I think people read into this quite a lot. It may be significant, it may not, but Maresca has created a guessing game around his intentions. Yeah, apparently Ben Jacobs followed up on the dress code thing. That it's nothing to, there is a reason for it, but it's not because he's like, I'm leaving Chelsea, so I'm going to stop wearing the Chelsea tracksuits. Absolute silly buggers. One source told the Telegraph Sport, so a source from Chelsea, if Maresca wants a war, then there will only be one winner. And, unsurprisingly, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be him. If he's looking for an easy way out, then he needs to be very careful. If he wants to stay past this season, then he has a funny way of showing it. Right, let me tell you what I think. I don't think he wants to leave Chelsea. And if you look at different briefings and different people's, different informed journalists' statements on it, he does like Chelsea. I think he understands that he's in a unique position to coach amazing players. He always goes on about how amazing Cole Palmer is. He clearly has already waxed lyrical loads about the talent of a Estevao. We know he loves Levi Colwill. We know he loves Wes Fofana and Reece James and Cucurella. I think he understands that he's got, not only has he got really good players, but he's going to have these players for a while because of the age profile. So when managers go into a club and they get, they might get thrown loads of good players. Say you go and get the friggin', Barcelona job now, like Hansi Flick. And you've got players 25 to 30, or in Lewandowski's case, really old. And I know you might have like Pedri and Yamal, but there's a lot of senior players in there as well. And other clubs as well. Pick another big club, do you know what I mean? With like good senior Galactico players. They don't have much time to get it right. But if you feel like you're getting talent right when they're young, and you've got a long time to hang out with that squad and make it better, and pinch of this and that, add this, that, here and there, it is a really good job. And I don't think he wants to lose it. Now, obviously, he knows he's done good the first season, and he has done. You can't. It's not up for debate. It's objective. It's not subjective. He's done well. You got people like Jamie Carragher. I know he's been in the news for all the wrong reasons, pretty much all of his, pundit career, but saying, look, he will get another good job, but Chelsea will get another good manager. Chelsea is one of the most desirable jobs in the world. It always has been. It had been under Abramovich, even though there was fear he'll, get an itchy trigger finger and sack you, whatever, even if you think you've done well. Excuse me. What I would say is there was a period under these owners where even Chelsea, the club it is, the talent it had, it looked like an unmanageable dumpster fire. Probably, the Potter time, the time when Lampard came in as a intermittent coach, you know what I mean, when he came in temporarily, and that was like an unmanageable situation. But they've learnt from that, touch wood, and actually it's a good young squad now. It's got a lot of talent. There's clear they will spend money on players still. You'll know that I'll trade them as well, but they'll still, they're not averse to buying a player they need. But you've just got such a good young stabilised team that, Willis is in the dressing room now, the mentality monster, so there's like a team spirit. They're not all like a bunch of wet, individuals. They're actually like, they go to war together. They're young. They're profiled as a squad that should develop well moving forwards. It's a highly desirable job. And if you're a coach that doesn't want to be this big managerial spokesperson figure like an Arsene Wenger or, Sir Alex, and you just want to coach good teams, it's a really good job. So, because Xabi Alonso might be like, this Real Madrid drama's doing my head in. I wanna go and be just a coach for a good young team like Chelsea. I think it'll be highly desirable, But on the other side of it, you got to say, are you just going to be a coach being left to get on with it like Maresca wants? Or is Bedadig Bali and the sporting directors always going to be coming in and going, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Why are you doing that? And what does that do? What happens if I press this? Do you know what I mean? And after a while, maybe like after 18 months, he's probably thinking, I've had enough of this. Do you know what I mean? But maybe they'll get bored. Maybe they'll be a little bit more hands-off because they'll learn, okay, maybe we've been a bit too intense here. I don't know. Truth is, Enzo Maresca, I reckon there's probably something in his contract that after 2 years, you know, the payoff is less. You don't give someone a 5+1 if you think you're going to have to do a massive payout, especially when they got burnt with Graham Potter for the money-wise. The money they had to buy him out of friggin' Brighton, it cost them loads, and then they had to pay him off to sack him really early after a few months in. So they probably would have put loads of stuff in Maresca's contract that financially protects them, especially because they're like, you know, they would have said to him, you're getting mate, you've just had 1 season in the Championship and you're getting the Chelsea job. So he probably went, yes, just nodded like, yes, I'll sign this, you know. And he might have had a bonus, like if you win the Club World Cup, we'll give you friggin' £1 million or whatever. He won that, he got his money. I'm guessing here, I'm theorising, but I do reckon they protected themselves financially, contractually with Maresca because they were in a position to do so, to have all the control. You know, he's this guy he's had 1 full season as a coach in the 2nd division, so he was in no position to like, you know, do all this like negotiating, like give me this, this, and this, all these demands. So it's been a great time. It's hopefully not ending, but they will both see it as, well, we look good. Maresca will be thinking, I look good here. George Mendes has signed me up. Loads of other clubs will want me. Chelsea will think, well, we've looked good here because we've platformed Maresca and he's done well, and we back ourselves to continue doing well with another guy that we think can do the job. And then, you know, Chelsea fans will probably be split. I want Maresca to stay. I quite like him. I like how he talks. I like how he's got a little bit of like this sort of gritty side to him, and I do think he's tactically very, very astute in big games, and I think he'll get better as a coach, and I'd rather he get better as a coach at Chelsea, where he's already done pretty well, than, you know, go and win loads of titles in Europe somewhere. Also, there's the great fear that he could pop up at another Premier League club, which, yeah. You know, Man City wanted Amorim to replace Pep. I tell you what, obviously they won't want Amorim now, but they will be looking at Enzo Maresca, who's already worked as a coach at Man City, as a youth coach, as an assistant coach. He's gone away, he's won a league title in the 2nd division, he's won the Club World Cup. I think Man City would snap Maresca up as a Guardiola replacement. Personally, that's just my opinion. That's a bombshell to end on, isn't it? Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for following and 5-starring on podcast platforms, etc. And hope to see you back here soon. Take care.